Welcome back to the second half of our city, where I'm joined by Mr. John Surmay. He's the health officer here in the city of Elizabeth. Welcome, Mr. Surmay.
How you doing?
Great, and yourself?
Okay, good.
This is that time of the year when everyone gets amped up, and we transition from fall going into winter, and it gets cold, and everyone starts saying, "Oh, I'm sick," whatever. Flu season. Mm-hmm. So the question is, why get vaccinated?
Well, in order to protect yourself in any way, you have to do preventive measures, and the best way of preventing flu is to get the flu vaccination.
And when we talk about the vaccination, who should get vaccinated and when?
Everyone.
Everyone.
Starting at 6 months of age. Now, years ago, they never touched the children until they had all of their baby shots, what they used to call baby shots, tetanus and typhoid and all that stuff. But now, 6 months to 35 months gets preservative-free vaccine, and then everybody else gets the other. And the other has just a tiny, tiny little drop. You wouldn't even see it if I dropped it on the table. You couldn't even see how much preservative is in there. But it's just a little. It's the same thing. And I think this year the city of Elizabeth could afford it. I don't tell the mayor that, but that's what I think we did. I think we got all preservative free, so nobody has to worry about it.
We're talking about the flu. What exactly are the symptoms of the flu?
The symptoms is probably best described as the worst case feeling you have when you have a cold. Mm-hmm. You get a runny nose, you get a cough, you get a fever, you get weak, you get run down. The problem is that you can get that either way, whether you have the flu or not the flu. But it's one of the things. I was the first health officer and first pharmacist on a narcotic commission, and one of the things we told them on a narcotic commission is you can't take any one symptom by itself, because so many drugs have the same kind of symptoms, and that's the same thing with flu. But just multiply the time that you feel pretty lousy from a cold, and that's what the flu is all about, 5 times that.
Flu-related germs, how are they transmitted from one person to the other?
Well, the latest thing now is you're supposed to sneeze or cough into your elbow. So that's one way of transmitting the disease, is by coughing, sneezing onto somebody else, or doing this with your hands or on a handkerchief or a tissue and then touching a railing. But, the same thing with the cup. If somebody else had the disease here, depending on the time, some of these bacteria are very time sensitive and they will die of their own natural inability to sustain itself on a hard surface within a matter of minutes. But if the timing is right and somebody put this down and I picked it up and put the same thing with my hand and then put my hand to a mucous membrane, whether it be in my eyes, my nose, or my mouth, I could transmit the vaccine. But the big thing that I'm worried about is everybody says, well, I don't feel good, but I think I'll go to work. I don't want to miss a day's work. That's the wrong thing in the world to do, because what happens is you talk into a telephone. And when you talk into a telephone, you may sneeze, or you may just the spittle from your mouth coming out talking on a telephone, and the next person picks it up and they get the germs, the virus.
Now in Elizabeth, we're fortunate to have the flu shots and we're administering them for free. When and where are we doing these?
Well, the city tries to, the state law is that everybody 18 years or older must be vaccinated, and they must bring in an ID that shows they live in Elizabeth. But if they insisted they're coming from somewhere else, I have an arrangement with other health officers that we either charge them or we'll get a credit. If there's a lot, say from Linden or from Rolway, they would give us some vaccine to take up for that thing. But the city of Elizabeth, we tried to centralize it to an area in the city where there's parking, and that's going to be at City Hall parking lot on the second floor at the City Council chambers on the 3rd floor. And we did it on Wednesday, October the 5th and Wednesday, October the 19th. Okay. So that if we need more sessions, we will continue in the same vein, Wednesday every other week or every week.
Now I want to transition, go off on another note. Are they still doing the anti-rabies vaccination for the animals?
Yeah, sure. What happens is we because of the economic conditions, we can't advertise as extensively as we should. And I want to tell you that if you fail to remember what I just said about when the flu vaccines are given, you can go on the city webpage, the county webpage, or the state webpage, and under events, get the dates from the flu vaccine. On the rabies vaccines, it's not on the county, and well, it could be on the county. They were toying with the idea of putting it on the county, but especially on the city, you can go under events and find the rabies vaccines. And because not everybody has a computer, it's not always possible. Again, we don't advertise as much as we used to, but we have makeup sessions, and our coming makeup session is Thursday, October the 6th at the Winfield Scott Park. That's the park right in front of City Hall. That's from 4 to 6 o'clock. And then to show the other end of the town so that people don't have to come down is Kellogg Park, which is on a Saturday morning, October the 8th, from 12 noon to 2 p.m. That's on North and Madison.
Now back to the flu shots for a second. How many types of the influenza vaccine are there?
Oh, there's numerous ones, but what happens is each year around April, this Center for Disease Control, CDC, goes around the world and collects the different viruses of the for flu and makes a vaccine that will fight that particular strain. It just so happens that should be no change in last year's flu vaccine and this year's flu vaccine. If you recall, last year's came out very late, and that's because they couldn't decide on what strain to use. When they finally did, the bacteria have a function which is called mutation. They mutate, they change their body in such a way that the flu that you're giving them the flu vaccine that you're giving them will not attack it because it's changed. So that's why you have to give it. So the number of vaccines, maybe I'm misinterpreting your question, but if you're asking how many vaccines are there currently for the current flu, it's just one.
Okay.
One vaccine.
And that's administered through a shot, or?
Yeah, shot.
They still do the nostril?
Yeah, but most people can't stand it. It's a pain in the neck, to tell you the truth. I'm a pharmacist, and I'll tell you, it's not the best way to go. You sneeze, and you have to worry about having a cold in the nose and nasal congestion, things like that. It's much easier to get the shot, and away you go.
Okay. And as earlier we talked about the rabies shots, are there any requirement for the animals coming out?
Well, the animals must be at least 3 months of age, the first one, and they shouldn't get another shot within that same year if they started at 3 months. And they all must be on a leash and must be muzzled so that the vet and the workers don't get bitten or attacked by the dogs. So that's the only thing we have.
And those dates for the shots are?
To Thursday, October the 6th, and Saturday, October the 8th.
And
one is at Kellogg Park. The Thursday, October 6th, is Winfield Scott Park from 4 to 6 p.m. And the Saturday, October 8th, is Kellogg Park, corner of North and Madison Avenue, at 12 noon to 2 p.m.
And that's for the rabies vaccination.
That's for the rabies vaccine.
Everyone understands that. And any information they need about these, they can be found on the city's website, which is www.elizabethnj.org. On the calendar events, you'll find all the dates that we've mentioned here.
And if you want to talk to a person, because sometimes people get frustrated going on a computer, you can always call my assistant's number at 4049 or 4249. It's 820-4249 for the flu and 820-4049 for the rabies vaccine.
And what's the biggest concern? I know we've had the bird flu in the past, and do we have a new name this year, or is anything special?
No, it's interesting. During the middle of the Hurricane Irene, I'm on call 24/7, and I got a call from the World Health Organization that they got bird flu emerging in the Asian countries. So who knows what this season's going to bring, but we stand prepared to adapt our forces, whatever they may be, to fight it and to prevent and bring good health to the people of the city of Elizabeth.
And we are giving out free flu shots here in Elizabeth.
Yeah, if you don't want to wait for our dates to come, or if it's inconvenient for you, a lot of the pharmacies and other health clinics are giving Medicare patients. If you're a Medicare patient, there's no charge for it, and you should not pay. If you are a Medicare patient, you should not pay for a flu vaccine because they should be able to submit it to Medicare.
Well, I want to thank you, Mr. Surmay, for joining us. And as usual, you've been a wealth of knowledge. I enjoyed talking to you.
Okay, thank you.
Before we sign off in this segment, I want to remind everyone that the information that you just heard, if you need additional information, can be found on the city's website, www.elizabethnj.org, and go on the calendar events. Also on Facebook, we have a social media page on Facebook, City of Elizabeth NJ. Just hit like and you'll get up to the minute information about what's going on here in the City of Elizabeth. Thank you for tuning in to this segment of Our City. Have a great and wonderful week.